Good afternoon, lovely people from wherever you are watching. We want to welcome you to Nigeria Now on Equa Television International. The show is Nigeria Now. As always, we bring issues that are burning, issues of concern to Nigerians and then Nigeria as a country, where we throw our lights out there and we spot issues that are really of public interest, and we discuss them in our own level. But the good part of it is that we are not discussing it alone. You know, we are doing it with you. Just know that we are live on Facebook and YouTube, so just do well, you know, to just connect with us, and then let's hear your view concerning what is pinching you regarding Nigerian issue. I have Joyce Jakada with me. Joyce,
as always, good afternoon, Sambo Solomon. Pleasant afternoon to our viewers out there. Thank you. You look great as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, today I am so excited in the sense that you know, on this show we talked about all Nigerians coming together, putting our hands on deck, and then make sure that engine that is not working is being fixed, so that Nigeria will get to a level whereby we will be respected, and then in the global eye, and then Nigerians will be proud to say, this is my country, this flag, green, white, green. You know, you'll be happy, you'll be proud to carry it everywhere. And then Nigeria is being seen as a religious country, and then most times we didn't see those gladiators in that field, in the religious aspect, you know, playing, let's say, a role that is expected of them to play, because we see them talking about the issue of the country with religious lines, you know, not looking at the country as a whole, not looking the target as humanity, but they speak from one side of their mouth. And then waking up with Easter message from Bishop Matthew Kukah really gladdens my heart, even though I know what he can say situations like this, because he have written so many articles, so many speeches, and then so many messages concerning the unity of this country, concerning everything that had to do with this country in totality, how we will leave the present position that we are to a stage whereby we will be regarded as, yes, a country that have humanity, you know, as a center focal point.
Well, Sambo Solomon, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kukah is one bishop or cleric that the president, talking about President Muhammadu Buhari, has referred to as his public critic.
You say he's number one
public critic. And he has always been in the media, if you ask me, for the right reason. A lot of people have talked about his doggedness, how fearless he has been in talking about issues that affect Nigerians as a whole. He has made a lot of appearances even before the president to talk about some of the issues ranging from insecurity, like poverty amongst others that have bedeviled Nigerians, and why some people decided to give it to him, because as an Archbishop of the Diocese of Sokoto, he has been not just open about with issues that are religious, but even issues that affect the country as a whole. These are issues that ordinarily you hear some people will say, oh, by virtue of being a cleric, you're not supposed to be seen talking about or involving yourself with some political issues like that. But whether we like it or not, the church is surrounded by citizens of the same country. And if there are issues that affect the members of that church who are citizens of that country, of course, the church will be affected. And that is why people will tell you, oh, I give it to him. And in one of his messages, like the Easter message, he addressed not just the Supreme Court. He addressed some number of people. I recall that, like going by our point of focus this afternoon.
He said, don't disappoint Nigeria.
Yes, don't disappoint Nigerians.
To Supreme Court.
Yes, and you know, going by that, he didn't just address the Supreme Court about not disappointing Nigerians. He spoke to the president. He spoke to the incoming president. He spoke even to the young people in Nigeria. When you going by the election, I read how he made a lot of comparison using the Easter message with the happenings in Nigeria and cautioning all the key people that are actually at the forefront. He started by addressing the president, Muhammadu Buhari, and he said he doesn't know if he feels satisfied because after May 29th, of course, he's supposed to be retiring either to Daura, or he mentioned, or Kaduna, but he doesn't know if he's going to feel fulfilled retiring to either of the places, because before he comes, there are a lot of promises he made. He talked about defeating corruption. He talked about dealing with all these security issues, ending banditry. He talked about bringing back our girls. He talked about belonging to everybody and belonging to nobody. He talked about selling off our presidential fleet and traveling, the issue of traveling within us. He was going to end all of that. So he asked the fundamental question. I don't know whether when you are retiring, you're going to retire fulfilled, having known that these promises that you have made, whether it has you have actually met all these promises or you are yet to do that. And he said, well, you might have followed my engagement, the messages. Now I'm still talking to the president over the years. And he said all these things that he kept talking about that had to do directly with public was not just for some personal interest, but for the betterment of Nigeria as a whole. And that's why he kept talking about that. And for the president-elect or the incoming president, he also made some suggestion. He said, as important as infrastructure is, and as the cheap talk about dividends of democracy that we always see politicians talking about, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we ensure there's health facility, we ensure education, good roads, among other things. That as cheap as that talk is, where you find in almost all the mouths of every politician, that he hopes that the number one thing, which is ensuring the security of the people, will be the four points of the incoming president. And so he's urging him that beyond the dividends of democracy, beyond infrastructure, which are very important, there is need to prioritize the protection of the lives and properties of Nigeria, that these are things that should be prioritized, even beyond religious, ethnic basis, that people actually, beyond nepotism, among many other things. So these are the hopes of Nigerians must be revived. And he went further to address the judiciary, talking about the fact that all eyes are now on the judiciary. We've heard talks from different big wigs, different politicians talking about the fact that, see, it is up to you to ensure that our democracy is being maintained. Now, the judiciary, if you dare compromise, is more like death to our democracy as a country. And so right now, even after going by the election that just held, there were a lot of hopes which we continue to maintain. People had high hopes, talking about promises coming from IDEC. Oh, there's going to be beavers, results will be transmitted in real time. And we saw how people turn out in mass to just go out and vote, because they felt, oh, it's going to be not like the norms, but something different. And of course, if it's something that I can be able to vet in real time, then why not go out and participate? And we saw how that a lot of people went all out on the 25th of February and as well as March to go and vote for presidents, the National Assembly, governors in March, and then State House of Assembly. But again, going by the turnout, the output of the results, when people were expecting that all these things were going to be transmitted in real time and they will have access to it, reverse was the case. They saw manual collision, which was more like what was done before. And it it was on that basis that they're saying, because we know that cases are in the courts, people, aggrieved parties, petitions are in the court, left, right, and center, and all of that. But right now, all eyes are on the judiciary, because it is up to them to maintain the truth. Actually, there are a lot of expectations on them right now. And that he talked about the fact that he knows some politicians are trying to use the machinery of the judiciary to ensure that it turn everything in their own favor. But they should not disregard the interest of Nigerians. Beyond technicalities, Nigerians are looking up to them to actually uphold the truth. Even though he said, I cannot judge you, but I can only pray for grace for you to do the right thing. And so he urged them that they need to stand for the truth. And I think the judiciary, this is not the first time we're hearing about, oh, please stand for the truth, don't disappoint Nigeria. And I think the bishop is only echoing that fact. And it will only be nice for the judiciary to do that. I wrote already, people are losing interest in the judiciary. There are a lot of people say, I don't have confidence, because the same people that there are instruments that are used by this political party or that political party. But right now, to restore the confidence of Nigerians, the judiciary must uphold the truth. And that is why the bishop is actually calling on them not to disappoint Nigerians. Their expectations, people have evidences left, right, and center. And because we live in a new tech era, so people have information. And I think it will only be good for them to uphold the truth. He also gave it to the youth of Nigeria, their resilience, their strong, the strength that they show, the tenacity during the election coming out. And he said one thing, the youth don't belong to any political party. But of course, the turnout of the young people, the determination to see that things turn around for their own good and for the nation as a whole is something that he must give it to them. And he urged them not to go back to the trajectory that Nigeria as a country have suffered by holding on to a political party. Beyond political party, I think competence is very key. And if you ask me, I would say this message, especially to the judiciary, not to disappoint Nigeria. Nigerians is actually timely. And we just hope that in the coming days, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, we'll see our judiciaries upholding the truth and nothing but the truth. Like I always say, Nigeria is a great nation, and we can only build it on justice. Yes, it is only on justice that you can build a nation. Without justice, I don't think I don't know where we are going to be headed. So it's very important that we uphold justice and integrity.
Yeah, I remember when, President Muhammadu Buhari was shaking his hand, and then he was like, my number one public critic, and then with that smile on his face, and they laughed over it. And this call for me is timely, like you rightly said, because it is very key, it is very important for our clerics to know, because we can't say Nigeria is a religious country and then we see our leaders talking from one side of their mouth. When it comes to national issues, they sugarcoat it with religious matters, and then they take side. And I feel when truly, when our religious leaders start talking, like Bishop Matthew Kukah, I think the better for our country. Because if you look at his message, I would say it's holistic. To the Christians, he talks about the tomb. He talks about the three, that is the cross. And when it comes to the issue of the nation, he spelled out everything. He talks about even the president, the president that is preparing his retirement, after May 29. He talked about the incoming, that's the president-elect, asking him, what he think he should do now when coming. You should forget about to feel, yes, they are alive first. They won't enjoy anything infrastructure.
Sure.
And I think he's trying to tell him, don't miss this. Don't miss this. You have a lot, before you. So have this at the back of your mind. And then I want to see whereby all religious leaders will begin to speak with one voice concerning national issues. Let's talk the real issues that are on ground. Let's see how we'll tackle them. And the way he put it when it comes to the issue of judiciary, I think we have talked about it here. Like I would say, he just came and he icing everything that we have been talking, like after election. You know, we talked about before, during and after the election. And then after the election, that's when everything now went to the court. You know, the tribunal now are really going up and down, gathering their facts, you know, the lawyers going up and down, defending whoever they want to defend. But one thing that drew my attention, he said, you are humans. And I know some people are doing all their best to pressurize you so that the justice will suit their own, what they define as justice. But you know, from the constituency where they are coming, they are to interpret that law, which is giving an ordinary Nigerian a sense of belonging and a right to live as a Nigerian. And I think that point, it's very key. And I feel the judiciary should look at that line and then see what they would do.
And just to add to that lines we were talking about, again, he talked about the future of our country being in the hands of the judiciary. And he said, as they deliberate, they should know that the future of the country is in their hands. At the end of the day, you're going to give accounts to your creator. So when making judgments, when listening to claims and counterclaims, they should know that they only have their conscience and God to answer to. So it is very important that they disregard any political actor that want to pollute their temple. Like, this is where it used to be sacred, that Nigerians were looking up to, oh, if anything is coming out from here, it is nothing but the truth. But obviously, we've seen how that a lot of political actors are trying to see that, oh, things work in their favor, disregarding the truth. And that is why we continue to call on the judiciary to remember that all eyes are on them. And it is on them now to restore the confidence of Nigeria. At the end of the day, like I always say, let's not forget that we're going to give account of every deed we do. So let's see that judiciary are upholding truth, and it shouldn't be about technicalities this time around, but about the interests of Nigerians.
Yeah. Governors now are in tight corner concerning the issue of security vote. You know, security vote has been an issue, you know, in the political, out there for debate, you know, in the public space, when you talk about issue of corruption, issue of prudence, issue of mismanagement, you know, people kick against. And I remember 2015 when Buhari was campaigning, one of his points, he said, when voted into office, this is one area that he will look at carefully, because he believed that corruption is really, really thriving in that aspect. And then now we are talking, the governors are under pressure now, you know, talking about the security vote.
Well, a lot of policies lately have come up, especially some people will say, oh, it's against the states, it's against the state governors and all of that. But I think what is more important at this point is, well, what is beneficial to the citizens? What is for the good of the whole nation? And as far as there are no personal interests, want to fight over some policies, when they see that, oh, it doesn't interest, they try to fight it. And so the governors, like you said, are actually on that. And then federal government have a Marshall Bank. And now if you must withdraw any government bank, and this is so that they will be able to monitor some of the withdrawal and as well as the spending of these security votes. So these measures are to keep the two tiers under close watch as they use this cash. So there's no going to be any withdrawal. The commercial bank, if you must withdraw in cash, it has to be through the CBN, and that way you're going to be monitored. And even though we know that in January, early in the year, there was a directive of the Nigerian Federal Financial Intelligence Unit halting the withdrawal of cash by the state government and the local government from any from any commercial bank, and it was with effect from 1st of March. And this is to reiterate this policy, and the federal government have actually granted both the state and the local government to operate only their security votes in cash till May 29. Even though some sources have said, oh, some governors are fighting this and that, trying to talk about it. But of course, it is a policy that I think it has come to stay. And I don't know why, if you're doing the right, you'll be scared of monitoring and all of that. So there are other agencies that are actually involved in all of this, the EFCC, ICPC as well. They are also involved. And then anybody that disregard or go against this policy, there's definitely going to be penalty, a payment of fine. Any governor that goes against this policy as well, in fact, 7 years imprisonment. So it is public fund. And if you know that whatever you're going to be doing at the end of the day is to the favor or the interest, I don't think you should be scared of any monitoring. So, well, as it is right now, regarding the security vote issue, well, there's actually some level of harmony, and there's agreement too that to maintain that until May 29th this year. Well, even though, like I said, some commercial banks, some governors are not really happy with all of these. But I want us to get to a point where leaders will always think about the people. Like, we always think about the interest of the people. We'll remember the grounds at which the people actually voted them into power, beyond personal interest. Like we've seen in this election, 2023 election, how that some people didn't have the opportunity to even come back after their first 4 years. Why? Because obviously they went against their words. They didn't do what the people expected them. They went there and then they forgot. Some of them don't even have constituency office. Like as I learned about one of the constituency that has a member representing it, that for over a year they don't even have light and nothing has been done. So why are you there? And then you are there as a representative, because all the people in your constituency cannot appear at the State House of Assembly or at the National Assembly. And that's why they trusted you to take their issue at the forefront. But most times when people go, it's like there's an injection that makes them forget about every other thing. So I think it's very important that politicians, like, generally should always think about the people. Like, it takes every one of us to build this nation. Like those other countries that we're seeing and we're admiring, it takes effort. So if we don't believe if we don't believe that we can do this, then it can't come to pass. So it is very important that beyond self, there are people that entrusted you with that position. So let it be about the people.
Well, Joyce Jakada, thank you so much for throwing your own thought on this particular issue that we have discussed today.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I hope tomorrow we'll do this together. Yeah. All right. For the viewer out there, we sincerely want to thank you for believing in us, believing in ECWA Television International, and choosing this program as one of your best, to know what is happening, around the country. So just keep faith with us as we do this tomorrow, same time, same station. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.